Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. And this continues to be the space for conscious, purpose driven entrepreneurs who are looking to remove the blocks that hold them back from their purpose so that you can manifest abundance through it and finally assist in creating heaven on earth. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am really enjoying the conversation around the hidden seeker and what we experience when we're in that hidden seeker phase, why we get stuck in that phase, how we get out of it, and finally start to shine our light the way we were meant to. And so we're going to continue that conversation today. I want to talk about the hamster wheel of thought. So often we get stuck in perpetual thinking. This is why people reference the monkey mind. Historically, our society has taught us that the hustle and grind culture is the way to go, and our general environment has put us into a perpetual state of fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, however it shows up for you. When they're constantly encouraging the hustle and grind culture, that creates the hypervigilance in us. We're always on edge, we're always on go, and we're not meant to live in that state. And so what happens is the mind is overactive. The mind is consistently activated. It is running on a hamster wheel is the analogy that often comes to mind. And the thought of the phrase, you cannot heal from the level of mind in which the problem was created. I believe that was Einstein that said that. And that relates to this conversation because the mind is constantly going round and round and round, hypervigilant thinking, always looking out for, what problem could happen next? What's the thing I have to worry about next? Or even in some cases where we take on too much, if we have a people pleasing tendency or an over giving tendency where we try to do too many things, or even the opposite, where we're paralyzed, we're in that fawn or freeze state, and we want to get out of this stuck state, but we can't seem to get ourselves to do anything. And yet we still have that hamster wheel just going round and round and round. The machinations of the mind are like torture because the brain is trying to solve a problem that it is not able to solve. And I just want to repeat that phrase that I mentioned earlier, is we cannot solve a problem from the level of mind in which it was created. And what that means in this context is that at some point we received the trauma program, if you will. And I say it that way because some of you may not identify as having experienced trauma, and yet the vast majority of the world right now is exhibiting trauma responses. And if you look at complex trauma, it's essentially not feeling safe, seen, heard, cared for, or loved for an extended period of time. So any one of those things. If you look at especially culture and society in the United States, if you are not constantly on the go, you're not hustling and grinding, you don't have a to-do list a mile long. If you ever have any downtime, there must be something wrong with you. And so that is going to create a state of feeling unsafe for an extended period of time. So regardless, when the mind is going round and round, this is driven by that hypervigilance. It can be connected to the fawn response just as much as it can be to the hypervigilant response. You may be the overworker, the perfectionist, the high achiever, or you can also be stuck at home in hermit mode on your couch. Either way, you are still a hidden seeker in the sense that you're being driven by life instead of living your life. You are in survival instead of thriving. You are not shining your light or using your gifts or living in your purpose. And that will drive you a little bit crazy. We will get the hamster wheel of thought that's constantly trying to solve this problem that it can't solve. And the part of this is, again, going back to what I started to say, there was when we received the program, however we received it, our limbic system, our limbic brain, as I sometimes call it, but it really is an area of the brain that encompasses multiple parts of the brain, it becomes overactive. And we feel like we're solving it by thinking with our smart brain, And yet really what's in charge is this limbic system. And part of the way the brain will change when you live for an extended period of time in this type of environment is you will have an overactive amygdala, which basically means hyperactive emotions, which means we're highly offended, we're easily offended, we're easily triggered. When we get triggered, we are shut down for extended periods of time. And then you add to that, right? So let's just kind of back that up to make sure I'm being clear here. We initially receive the program, whether it's from a troubled childhood or just the society today. The brain becomes imbalanced. It is not in its natural state. You have overactive fight, flight, fawn, freeze responses. And your prefrontal cortex in those cases is hijacked, your intelligent brain. And the limbic system, the part of the brain that becomes overactive, is in charge. It will not allow the smart brain to make intelligent decisions when it feels unsafe. And so that leads us to that state of constantly trying to figure out how to solve the problem from a level of consciousness in which it was created. The brain shifts and changes are the problem. And that's why we can't solve the problem with our brain. That's why the constant hamster wheel of thought doesn't solve the problem. Now, part of being that hidden seeker is we are, what's the term I'm looking for? We are ingesting more and more and more from a knowledge perspective, from a healing modality perspective, from a spiritual perspective. We just keep bringing things in and we are not pouring out. So we're filling our cup and filling our cup and filling our cup, but we're not pouring into anyone else the way that we are made to. We came here to be of service. We came here to shine our light. We came here to help others heal. We came here to help transition from the old world to the new world. But when we are so consumed by just surviving in whatever state we happen to be in, whether it's perfectionism and overachieving or shut down and hermit mode, we are still consumed by survival in either state. And what we're here to do is to thrive, because in our thriving, that's where we shine. Another way to look at this is when we are in that hyper vigilant, hyperactive state of being, a very active monkey mind, we are consumed by, our energy is consumed by what it takes to be in that place, so much so that our energy cannot be utilized for the things that we came here to do. So one of the biggest reasons I wanted to make this video is because I use the example of going out and getting more courses and getting more healing modalities under your belt as one of the symptoms of a hidden seeker. But it's not necessarily a bad thing to get more certifications or to get more knowledge, as long as we are pouring into others. We have to empty out the cup as much as we are filling the cup. We get stuck in that. Let me say it a different way. It is a problem. It becomes an issue when we are taking in and trying to solve the problem from the level of the mind. Now, I think what's important to reference here is that when we take these courses and we get more certifications and we're constantly bringing in, filling the cup, the brain is going, okay, how am I going to use this? When am I going to use this? Why am I doing this? And it recognizes, especially at a subconscious level, I haven't done anything with it. And then there's a feeling of failure, or it encourages the little trauma voice to degrade you or to demean you or to say negative things to you. And so there's a part of you that knows I'm taking in more and I'm taking in more, but I'm not pouring into anyone else. And the solution is, here we go. This is the point I was trying to make. Sorry, it's a little roundabout today, but the solution is not QHHT, hypnosis, affirmations, cognitive processes, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. We don't need more mind. We are not going to solve this problem from the level of the mind. The problem is solved by the body. The nervous system runs all throughout your body. It's kind of like veins or little tentacles that literally run through every ounce of your body, and even your hair is sensing and feeling your environment. It's pretty crazy. And so as long as the nervous system and the overactive emotional brain are easily triggered, you're never going to move past that stage of getting out there and being seen and asking for what you need, or asking for the sale, or letting people know, I have a service. I have a gift. I have a talent that I can offer you. Would you be interested? Just that simple 30-second communication of, I have something you need. Would you be interested? Is so activating for the nervous system and the emotional brain that that's what we have to work on. This is the block, if you will, is the experience that you experienced that gave you the program that that's not safe. Every time you experience that similar stimuli, the nervous system and the emotional brain go, whoa, don't go there. That's not safe. And it shuts you down. That is the subconscious program that says you are not going there. No matter how much your smart brain knows that you should go there, that you have to go there to be able to do the thing you came here to do, your emotional brain, your limbic system, your nervous system, your body are not going to allow you to go there. And that's why one of the very first things I teach is no amount of negative thinking or self-talk is ever beneficial. Ever, ever, ever. It is never, ever, ever. And I cannot stress that enough, because it is the beating up on yourself that really perpetuates that voice that's going to keep you from stepping into the thing. And yes, affirmations are helpful. Yes, QHHT. Yes, hypnosis. All of that is great. But without the somatic work, without the body healing aspect, without the trauma spotting that I do, we're not going to be able, and I'm not saying it's only my modality that'll work, but I'm saying if you have tried all of these things, don't beat on yourself for not being able to move past the hidden seeker stuck phase, because once you start to work with the body and the healing modalities, utilizing the body, desensitizing the nervous system and the triggers, not desensitizing the nervous system, we are desensitizing the triggers that trigger the nervous system. That's when you're going to be able to fully move forward. So to wrap this up or bring it back home, the machinations of the mind, the constant hamster wheel of thought trying to solve the problem is not helpful. It doesn't solve a problem. And so recognize that's got to stop. And you can do that just by saying, I'm not going to think about it anymore. I'm not going to think about that problem anymore. In fact, our minds should be focused on what we want to create, right? What you think about, you create. What you believe, you experience. So our engine of manifestation and creation is our mind. So that's one of the first initial jobs, is to get the brain under control and start focusing it on the things that you want to create, because you cannot solve a problem from the level of mind in which it was created, which means you're not going to be able to solve trauma with your brain. You're not going to be able to step into your purpose with your brain. You're not going to be able to fully master manifestation with just your mind. Your body is required in all of those things. I've done a lot of videos on manifestation. I might do another one sort of referencing it specific to the hidden secret, because this term seems to really speak to you. And it's important that you understand sort of how all of this works together. But the body is a key component in manifestation. It is not just the mind. So start to notice when you are trying to solve the problem from your brain, when you're thinking about things, when you're overthinking things, drop into the body, focus on the heart, and just be present in the heart. Start to notice your body, get used to being in your body. It is safe to be in your body. Many hidden seekers want to go home. We don't know where home is, but home, the thing you're seeking, is actually wholeness and coming home to your own heart. Even if you identify as someone who belongs in a galactic community, home is where the heart is. And so coming back to yourself is the key here. I feel like there was something else that wanted to come through. Clarity comes from action, not from thinking. You will never figure out and I don't want to say never, I don't like absolutes. You will struggle to find your purpose in just thinking. You might get the first next right step, or you might have an inkling of the thing that you're meant to do. And that's a great start. Know thyself is a huge piece of what I teach. You have to know who you are. What are your gifts? What are your skills? What are your talents? What are your preferences? What are your needs? Those are things that you can figure out from the mind. But from there, you have to take action in the body and action out in the world. So think, therefore I am may have hurt us. That is no longer the case. Whether or not it was true at one point remains to be seen. But in this certain space and time, it is no longer true. And the brain can be, especially a traumatized brain, can be one of your biggest blocks. Perception and thought are what separate us from others, even though we are all interconnected. So that feels complete. I love you, my beautiful friends. Hidden Seeker no more. It is time to shine your light. If you need help with this, I do offer free 30-minute sessions. Check out the link below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share if you can. Otherwise, namaste.